Hello, welcome back to Salty Sunshine. I'm about to share with you a beautiful interview with Miss Carrie Berk on her new book. And I wanted to preface the video by saying that it was all recorded with our faces, and for whatever reason, I guess the software keeps updating and something was selected for audio only, and unfortunately they can't recover the video portion. But I think you'll enjoy it just the same. I'm kind of bummed because it was a really cute video. But Carrie Burke and her new book, Mindfire. Enjoy. Salty Sunshine. I have a special guest today, Carrie Burke. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, excited to be here.
I'm so excited. Carrie's joining us today to talk about her new book, Mindfire, Diary of an Anxious 20-something.
Yes.
Yes, so
tell you more.
I'm so excited. It's all about anxiety, obviously, in the title, and this is your second book about yourself, but you've written so many other books, and I'd love to hear. I know your mom's a writer, among I think for a magazine and among other things. So tell me about yourself and how this all came to be.
Yeah, so I've been writing since I was 8 years old. I published my first children's book as a mother-daughter book series when I was in second grade, and just literally been writing for as long as I can remember. As soon as I started learning realistic fiction in school, I just fell in love with it. And, one day I pitched this idea to my mom for a book, and she took it to her book agent. She's a celebrity ghostwriter. So she kind of had that connection, and I was super grateful that she already had that connection kind of facilitate the deal. And before I knew it, we had a 12 book series of the Cupcake Club. But as I've kind of
And this is when you're 8 years old?
This is when I'm 8 years old, yeah.
That's so wild. 8 years old. How are you? What grade are you in when you're 8?
I'm in second grade.
And you can already write books?
Yeah, we were just learning about realistic fiction at the time, and I had a very creative mind, and I had all these ideas that were flowing, and I took them to my mom, and we worked together to just sit down and form this book series that was really exciting and fun for kids. And as I've kind of grown older, I've really come into my own as a writer, and I've wanted to write about some more mature topics. So my solo debut, my real life rom-com, really focuses on dating in the modern age, dating in a post-pandemic world, and kind of what that looks like. And that kind of transitioned into my current book, Mindfire, which talks about anxiety. Because I talked all about love in the previous book, but I didn't really dive into self-love. And for me, anxiety ties in very closely to how I found self-love.
Yeah, of course. So you're 8 years old, and obviously your mom is doing the writing for you, most of the structure, and you're more
we kind of did it together. We just sat down at a computer, and I'm like, she should say, this kid should say this, and then this girl should say this, and ooh, it would be really cool if they had a scene where they were making cupcakes for this type of party. And sometimes I would I would write something down, I'd write a scene by hand and I'd give it to my mom, and she'd edit it and make it pretty. And then vice versa. I loved editing. I've always loved editing. So she'd print out the manuscript and she'd give it to me and I would edit her. So it was really just a collaborative process.
So that took up, would you say, your elementary school career, writing the series?
Yeah, my elementary school years and a little bit into middle school as well.
Okay, and then so after that, where do you find yourself as far as writing?
I wrote two other series with my mom called Fashion Academy and Ask Emma, which were very fun. And that kind of took me through the beginning of high school. And I didn't start my solo debut until the pandemic. It was really a passion project at the time when I was stuck at home. I didn't really have much to do. So I kind of looked inwards and I found my own voice as a writer, as a solo writer.
I love that. You're the second person. I interviewed another author a few weeks ago with her second book, and she also took advantage of the pandemic, and that's where her first book flourished. So it's a great time, less distractions, you're not going out a lot. And so your mom must be so proud of you.
Yeah, and I'm proud of her.
Yes.
We support each other in our careers. She's kind of taking her career elsewhere too. She's kind of more in the theater world now. I'm doing a lot of journalism, but we're both still really supportive of each other and look back on that time and a lot of good memories.
Did your love of writing come from seeing your mom do that, or was it just natural?
I think it was a combination of both. Growing up, seeing her typing away at her computer, obviously, I felt inspired. And on top of that, I think just learning it in school and how you could infuse these stories with real themes that could empower people and inspire them. That's what really appealed to me about writing. And that applies in any type of writing, in fiction writing, in nonfiction, memoir, and journalism. You can always infuse your writing with these really important topics that
Mhm.
can make an impact on someone.
Yeah, I started reading again. I used to read when I was young, and then obviously the world takes over, and then life happens, and then I got back into it maybe 5 years ago, and I'm like obsessed with it now.
Yeah.
I love. What are you into? What kind of books do you like? Nonfiction? Do you like? Obviously, you like personal, um,
hmm
about.
I literally don't have time to read. I'm so serious. Like I'm so busy. I have a 9 to 5 job. I work at a magazine, and when I'm not working at the magazine, I'm just trying to unwind and like watch TV and just like brain rot because my brain is always just on overdrive working. So I
Totally.
haven't had time to read in a long time. I think the last book I read was a marathon book. I was training for a marathon and I was like learning about skills from a Peloton instructor. So when I
Wow.
read, it's like a fun read. Nothing too like difficult to follow.
Yeah. Well, I love a chick lit. Like I just like juicy, whatever's
Yeah.
juicy. I like reality
It's fun.
TV and all of that.
Yes.
I like nonfiction. I like it all. So tell me so this book, Mindfire, is
hmm
it what kind of person would benefit? I mean, obviously most people, but what's a core individual that would benefit from reading this? That what do they struggle with? What are they looking for?
hmm I think we can all relate to these feelings of not feeling okay, feeling anxious, feeling like the world is coming down around us, even when things might be okay in reality. I feel like everyone's at least once in their life experienced these distressing thoughts. So I think this book targets everyone who's kind of gone through their own mental health struggles. But I wrote it primarily as a young adult. I mean, the subhead is Diary of an Anxious 20 something because the root of my mental health issues was really in the pandemic. I was the class of 2020. I didn't have a prom or a graduation. I was
Mm-hmm.
stuck at home and my mental health really suffered as a result. So I wrote this originally as kind of a love letter to the anxious generation, the people who are adulting right now and feel really alone in their struggles and kind of feel like their growth as individuals has been stunted by the pandemic. But as I was writing it, each chapter is dedicated to a different emotion you experience when you go through anxiety or when you go through a mental health issue, whether that's loneliness, restlessness, heartbreak, grief. And as I was writing that, I realized that these are universal themes that everyone goes through. Everyone gets their heart broken. Everyone loses someone at some point in their life, and they may experience anxiety that comes with it. So even though
Mm-hmm.
I'm writing it as someone in their 20s, these are themes that everyone can relate to and hopefully feel less alone.
What was the moment you felt, obviously during the pandemic, but was there a thought, was there an incident that told you, I'm going to write this, like, this is the time?
I think during the pandemic, I didn't want to write about it. I was really struggling and I was staying quiet about it because saying these distressing thoughts aloud made them seem more real, and I didn't want them to be real. So I just stayed quiet and didn't even write about it. I didn't feel inspired. Eventually I did start diarying about it just because it helped me to kind of get the thoughts out of my head and onto the paper. And the more I wrote and the more I saw the words in front of me, the more I realized how silly the thoughts were and how illogical anxiety can be sometimes. So they kind of remained in my diary for a while. In 2022, I was in school, I was in college, and I had a panic attack that just kind of came out of nowhere, didn't really stem from anything, which is the reality for a lot of people with panic attacks. It doesn't need to come from a particular thought or instance. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to call. I didn't feel like anyone would understand. And the people who would understand, I didn't want to burden them.
Hmm.
So I just felt really alone. I texted my therapist. My therapist didn't really grasp the fact that it was like an emergency and that I really needed someone to talk to. So she just asked me to like sign up for a session, and that kind of like underplayed what I was going through in that moment. My mom was just trying to like relate with her own stories. So it just felt like nobody understood, and I just really wanted to make people understand. So I took all those diary entries, I put them into one document, and I had about 50 pages. And that's kind of when I realized that this could be a book and this could be something that could help a lot of people and would also kind of help me come to terms with my anxiety and become a champion for anxiety in my own life. So that's kind of how it came to be. And it was really difficult writing it, going back to these old diary entries and finessing them a bit, but it brought me a lot of closure and a lot of peace with the anxiety that I went through at the time. And that's kind of why I'm grateful I did it at the end of the day.
Yeah. Are you of the belief that anxiety is obviously it's worse for some people than others? I think personality comes into play, experience, your lifestyle, what you childhood, circumstance like COVID. I think COVID was a real game changer with everybody. And growing up for me in the 80s and 90s, I feel like, and maybe your mom says the same thing, like we didn't feel so stressed like everyone does today. And I really value the childhood I had because I feel like no cell phones, no social media, no, everything was easier, everything was cheaper, everything was affordable, everything felt like in reach. And
Hmm.
even though there has always been depression and anxiety, I don't think it was at the levels they are today.
Yeah.
Um, but do you think it's something you just need to accept and live with and just kind of accept it as like the hair you have on your head? Like it's gonna
Yeah.
happen and you just have to work around it and just kind of befriend it, kind sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That's exactly right. You need to learn how to become comfortable with it and become strong in it because there's no cure, there's no magic wand you can wave that just gets rid of your anxiety. It's just going to be there. And once you kind of accept that, I believe that's when you're really going to feel like, quotes, better. You
Hmm.
don't feel better trying to push it away and get rid of it. The more you push it away, the stickier it's going to be and the stronger it's going to come back. And coming to that realization is what helped me on my journey. Just learning to exist with distressing thoughts, realize that just because you have a thought, it doesn't mean it's logical, it doesn't mean it's your reality. And
Yes.
you learn by living and going through your life and realizing that, oh, that thought I'm having isn't going to come true, that anxious feeling is not real because I'm sitting here and I'm watching TV and I'm actually okay. So you
Yeah.
just learn by moving forward and, like you said, befriending it.
Yeah, I think I've always said, and it kind of relates to this, I feel like when people say forgiveness, I think it's more of accepting the situation,
Yeah.
not forgiving, because forgiving is an act of someone being sorry and you forgive them. It's
Yeah.
more about accepting that happened and you can't ever understand why and just accepting it. And it's the same thing kind of maybe with anxiety that
Yeah.
you have to accept it and you just have to have your tools because it's going to keep be a recurrence in your life and you just have to be up for the challenge to take out your tools and however you want to deal with them. I personally love box breathing.
Mhm.
um Breathe in 4 seconds, hold 4 seconds, out 4 seconds. What are your top tips for dealing with like an overwhelming sensation?
Yeah, building a toolkit is huge, and I think everyone has their own strategies that work for them. I think breathing is a great one. Just stopping and focusing on your breath really brings you inwards. Another grounding technique is using your five senses to ground yourself to reality. So, naming five things you see, hear, smell, etc. around you really brings you back to the present moment, especially when you're so deep inside your head. It can be really helpful. I love exercise. I'm a big runner. I mentioned training for a marathon. that
Mm-hmm.
just, it makes you feel not just physically strong, but mentally strong. So that's always my number one tool. And
Yeah.
then lastly, I'd just say practicing patience with yourself and realizing not every day is supposed to be perfect. And when you're feeling anxiety, kind of looking at it and saying, okay, bring it on. You know what? I'm going to use this as an opportunity to go conquer a really hard workout today because my brain needs to be extra strong. So let's prove it. So kind of just like flipping the perspective in your mind and
Yeah.
reframing it differently so you don't feel sorry for yourself.
And knowing you have to continue to flip it. Like you don't just get to
Mhm.
flip it once. You have to continue to flip all the time. It's
Yeah.
almost like a habit. You have to make it a habit to.
Yeah, and it's scary to think about the fact that you're going to have to conquer your anxiety over and over and over again, sometimes every day. But then think about how many exciting moments that life can bring you and probably has brought you already. Those moments aren't going to feel as euphoric if you don't experience the lows
Hmm.
so low. Like I've experienced such deep lows during the pandemic that now when I have a moment that's really high, I'm even more grateful and excited and they feel better than ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I think being happy is just it's sporadic and it's not supposed to
Yeah.
be a total way of living. Like you're not supposed to just always be happy. I think you should strive more to be peaceful and
Yeah,
okay.
balance.
I think just
Yeah,
to be
exactly.
able, yeah.
There's a moment in my book Mindfire where I'm it's my 21st birthday and I get drunk for the first time and I have like a panic attack. Like the anxiety does not interact well with the alcohol. And I'm like, I start panicking and like getting really inside my head. And I just keep repeating over and over again to my friends and to my boyfriend, like, I don't know if I'm happy. How do I know if I'm happy? What does it mean to be happy? And just like fixating over this idea of happiness and whether I'm truly happy. And I just started like freaking out, like telling myself, as long as I'm anxious, I'm not going to be happy. But once I kind of woke up the next morning, I realized like it's the goal is not to be happy all the time.
Right.
Like you said, like the goal is to be peaceful. You can also be happy and still be anxious. Like
Sure.
I get anxious every day. You can say I'm like an anxious person, but I'm happy. It's not
Sure.
like I'm moping around every day. I'm not depressed. I'm anxious, but I'm also
Hmm.
happy and I'm living and I'm persevering. So I
Yeah.
kind of realized that you don't need to hyperfixate on this idea of happiness. It's just going to come when you least expect it and it's not something you need to chase. Everyone always returns back to that balance.
Hmm. Yeah. I also think, and it's easier said than done, but it's so true. Everybody's going through something. Like
Yeah.
anything you're going through, someone else is going through that and worse
Mhm.
sometimes. And so if you really think about it, like that's actually true. Like you think I'm the only, it feels like you're the only one going through it, but it's like everybody and it's worse for other people. And that's why books are so great because you'll
Yeah.
read like a section or a quote or something. You're like, yes, that's how I feel
Yeah.
about it. Or that's how I felt when I went through that breakup or this or that. So
I mean,
we're
that
all
was
going through the same emotions.
exactly that was the goal in Mindfire, to create this tool for someone to read and have that aha moment like, oh my god, I feel the exact same way. I had no idea someone had that one distressing thought, or I had no idea that she had that anxious reaction. I also had that anxious reaction because in 2020 when I was going through it, I had nobody that understood. Like my mom would try to relate. It was just wrong. Like it wasn't the same. My therapist would tell me things, but she wasn't feeling what I was feeling, so I didn't fully believe her. I needed to like hear someone's story and hear they were going through the same thing and came out the other side stronger. That's all I wanted, to feel better. And I found that in an Instagram account that I really fell in love with. And I kind of wanted to create that space for someone, but in the form of a book through my
Yeah.
writing, because that's always been my way of expressing myself.
Yeah, that's great. So I agree with you. I think therapy is great, but I also think it's really hard to find a good therapist that you really
Yeah.
do. B, it's not always the right tool for a moment in time that of what you're going through. So grabbing a book and reading a few chapters might make you feel better just from relating and going back to, okay,
Hmm.
someone else goes through the same thing I do. And I agree. I don't think it's a one size fits all. I think for different circumstances, you do different things, and a book is
Hmm.
a great tool. You just pick it up and you breeze through and you'll
Yeah.
find something.
And in terms of therapy, I think for me at least what I learned, a big part of my mental health issues is I have OCD, and I go very much into detail about that in Mindfire. I realized that not only did I need a therapist, but I needed someone who specialized in OCD, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to really grasp these ideas or might be able to misconstrue them.
Hmm.
And that's why like I worked really hard to like find someone who I knew would get it, who talked about the specific OCD themes that I had and like really got it. So like you said, therapy is not like one size fits all. You might need to like try on a few pairs of shoes first before you get the right therapist, because it's difficult. I mean, this isn't your friend. This is somebody who is literally made to help you get better, and in order to do that, they need to have the proper skills and toolkit to do so.
Yeah. Has your OCD gotten better?
I
Or does
feel
it get
like,
better?
does it get better? I think it's similar in anxiety. You have to learn how to live with it. I think
Hmm.
OCD kind of, it's a life's journey, but my themes kind of change over time. So, what a lot of people misunderstand about OCD is it's not cleaning, it's not organization, it's way more
Right.
than that. It can be this really intense mental rumination about anything. There are
Hmm.
people who have OCD thoughts about being a pedophile, there are people who have OCD thoughts about their relationship with their parents, romantic relationships, postpartum OCD. I mean, the list goes on, and it always latches on to what you value most in your life. So I talk in my book about how I had self-harm OCD during the pandemic. I was really fixated on this ideology of like suicide and self-harm, and I didn't want to harm myself, but for some reason I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I needed to find someone who understood that. Because if I went to just any old therapist and they
Yeah.
weren't specialized in OCD, they would think I'm suicidal, which was couldn't be further from the truth.
Right.
And I say that because, at the time, this was the pandemic, lots of people were dying around me. Of course, I valued my life. Of course, like my OCD would latch on to that because that was what's most important at the time, my existence, me. And it took a long time to learn that. But
Yeah.
back to your earlier question, as things happen in my life that hold value, my OCD shifts and it usually latches on to the things that I love most, which really sucks. But
Yeah.
I
And it sounds like intrusive thoughts mixed in there with,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good thing. The brain is incredible. I feel like I always say too, one of the things that really mess with us as human beings, right? We can erase memories, and memories are just, they're just there. They're never going to go away. And yes, you can manage them and you can work on it, and time it fades a little, but the memories don't go away. And
Yeah.
memories are just so, it's so crazy. Like you just can't shut it off in your head, right? You're always going to remember something. And I just think that's interesting. And I always told my daughter's 27. I do the
Mhm.
podcast with her, and it's cute. That's why I love like you and your mom and
Yeah.
working together, because I love working with my daughter, and it's really cute because I love listening to her perspective as her age and then my age, and it's just interesting. But I always tell her like always be mindful of like the things you choose to engage in, and like of course don't ever do drugs, but like those are memories that will never leave your head, and it's
Mhm.
if it's an icky memory, like try to avoid it if you can, you know.
Yeah. I love that you bring up memories. I have a whole chapter in my book dedicated to memories as well, because people with OCD have a lot of difficulty with memories sometimes and hold on to things and ruminate over them. And that was a huge issue with me. Like I would think about a situation over and over again, and I would convince myself that I was a bad person or that I did something wrong or should I have done this differently. And unlike a normal person who just thinks about a bad memory and like cries over it, maybe, like I genuinely could not like move on with my day. I would just be thinking about it constantly. So
Yeah.
memories hold a lot of emotional significance, and it makes a ton of sense that people with mental health issues might latch onto them.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really upset, like more than the regular person.
Yeah.
And you can even smell something and it takes you right back in time,
Yep.
like a time warp. And
Yeah.
I find that so fascinating because it's crazy.
My like memory trigger for a long time, I'm still getting over it, was Christmas, because that's when I had my like big anxiety breakdown, when I started having like the self-harm intrusive thoughts. And for years, it's been 5 years almost since that happened, I just hated Christmas. Like anything that reminded me of Christmas, I couldn't go like skating. Anytime I heard Christmas music, I would just be like a wreck, because it would take me right back to that place. I'd
Hmm.
remember like going out and getting a hot chocolate and just feeling like the world was like coming to an end around me, and every like Christmas thing would like trigger that. And I'm trying to like beat it, and I think last year was like the first year where I actually like I went ice skating. I liked the tree this year, but you always have that association in the back of your head, and it's very difficult to let it go, especially with someone
Yeah.
with OCD.
And I think again, it's an active thing. I find it's just me. I think
Mm-hmm.
you need to talk to yourself and explain to yourself. Like sometimes you have to explain, like the way you change your perspectives, you can explain to yourself. I think the one good thing I think social media brings is I've seen people during Christmas, during birthdays, during Mother's Day, Father's Day, in the comments, you always see people like, I don't have any plans for 4th of July. Like, I'm sitting home alone with my dog. And it's like, everyone's like, me too. I grabbed a pizza. I feel like that's so good for people to see how many other people are doing exactly what you're doing. Because not
Mm-hmm.
everyone has either a good relationship with their parents or friends or
Yeah.
plans or a boyfriend or husband. Like, I think that's a good part. And I always smile when I see that because I'm like, I love that they see how many other people, because you see
Yeah.
all the good stuff, but then no one sees like the person sitting home alone and
Yeah.
they're lonely, and it's like a lot of people are like that.
Maybe this is a hot take, but I've always loved social media. And at the time, like in 2020, when everyone's like, oh, like social media sucks, like everyone's so obsessed with their phones and like, I don't know, like comparing people to other people, like for me it was really a lifeline. Like I felt
Mm-hmm.
so alone, and seeing other people who were also alone at home, like you say, just it helped a lot. Like I genuinely don't think I would have been as, I don't want to say I was stable during the pandemic, but I wouldn't have been able to get through the pandemic without Instagram or TikTok. It was
Yeah.
amazing to communicate with people online and express myself online. I built a big TikTok following during the pandemic because it gave me a creative outlet.
Yeah, you have a lot of followers, so you're reaching out to a lot of people. I
That
love
was all because of the pandemic. I literally just needed a creative outlet to kind of stay afloat.
it. Mm-hmm.
And I found TikTok, and I found this community online, and I'm I'm very grateful. And I think you can love on social media and also like keep a level head and realize if you do find yourself comparing to other people sometimes, because everyone does, and I definitely do sometimes, that
Yeah.
you know when to step away and you like recognize that.
I think worse than that though, for me at least, social
Hmm.
media, I think the negative part, personally, I feel like I have thick skin, and if you say something mean or I see something, I could just kind of like keep going. But the people that see like all the negative comments and like really mean people and stuff like that, I think if you're more or less stable and you could just scroll by that and not pay attention and not let it bring you down, then there
Hmm.
is a lot of positive on
Yeah.
social media for sure.
Now imagine that, but in the thousands, like when you have hundreds of thousands of people coming at you and hating you.
Hmm.
Like I've gotten that a lot too over the past few
Hmm.
years, and I think the more I've gone through it, the more I've kind of developed a thick skin, and
Yeah.
I've realized that as much as like the hate stings sometimes, at the end of the day, social media really saved me during the pandemic. So I can't just kind of like run away the second I see a hate comment. I kind of just have to swallow it, realize that these people who are writing hate comments online probably hate their own lives, and that's why
And
they're
some of them
portraying
are
it.
so ridiculous that they're not even, it's almost like, thank you for being so ridiculous that it's so not believable what you're saying
Yeah.
anyway, so it doesn't affect you. You're like, come on, are you for real?
There was one instance where I talk about this in the book too, where I got death threats from someone, and their bio said that they were a mom of like two young girls. And that was just like shocking to me, that you're hating on, at the time, an 18-year-old girl, and you have two young daughters at home. Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah, it's
That
wild.
if someone said those words, like, go kill yourself, to your daughter, like, it's, I don't know, it's unbelievable, like, how people are able to just do that online.
It's unbelievable, but at the same time, I feel like human beings are not that great. I mean, there's so many great ones, and then there's so many that are just kind of like that. So it's almost like, again, you just have to accept, like, there's a lot more than you would like in this world.
Yeah, I mean, in the case of like that mom of the two daughters, I figure she's just really hurting in her own life,
Hmm.
because there's no other logical explanation as to why a mom would tell an 18-year-old girl to go kill herself.
Well, tell anybody.
Tell anybody, but especially like a
Right.
child, a minor, when you have two minors at home. Like, it's,
Hmm.
I don't know, it was just baffling, and it was
Yeah.
definitely like a wake-up call in the moment. Like, okay, if a mom is saying this, like, there must be something genuinely wrong. Like, this
Yeah.
is not you.
Yeah. Um, yeah. What has been a reaction of someone that's read your book, and that you're like a unique take on how
Oh,
you've helped them?
I've gotten some emails. I wrote this book because I wanted to, touch one person and have them tell me, "Oh my God, I'm able to relate," because that's all I ever wanted. I had one mom come up to me during a live podcast taping and say it felt like it was her daughter sitting up there on the stage, and it brought her so much peace knowing that, she's not doing anything wrong, and this is just something that, like, my age bracket is kind of going through. So that was really special. And then I just got an email from someone, like, detailing their journey, saying that they've gone through the exact same thing as I have, and they couldn't believe it. Someone said they were on the treadmill and they were like listening to it, and then they started crying, and they were like, "Oh my God, like, I can't believe someone else is going through it."
It's on audiobook?
No, it was like a Kindle thing. Can you have the Kindle read out loud to you?
Well, through audiobook.
Oh, maybe it was the audiobook. I don't know. Someone's like, I was on the treadmill and I saw it. I don't know.
Or you know
Maybe
what?
they're
With technology today, maybe there is an app that can translate a
I
book.
don't know.
Who
Maybe they
knows,
were
right?
reading it on the treadmill. It was
Yeah.
something having to do with the treadmill.
Hmm.
And they were like, "Oh my God." Um but yeah, I'm very grateful that that's been the reaction, because obviously it's very scary putting yourself out there in such a vulnerable way.
Hmm.
I've done a lot of TV appearances related to the book, and those are especially scary because you never know, like, what if the TV anchor doesn't like understand what you're going through and like asks the wrong question, and it's
Yeah.
live on air and you have to defend yourself. Like, I had a lot of worries going into
Yeah.
it, but those reactions that people feel less alone, I feel like that's what makes it all worth it.
I know. It's cool to, again, another thing of social media. It's really cool to connect with people and hear their stories, and hear how they feel, and they went through the same thing. I think that's a really great side of social media. I personally love social media too, but I do see that I just fear for people that are affected by negative people on social media. I just worry about them. But
Mm-hmm.
in general, I think it's a really great thing to connect and talk about stuff
100%. Yeah.
online. So yeah, your book was a Barnes and Noble bestseller, right?
The first one,
The first one.
my
Oh, okay.
real life rom-com.
Okay, the first one was a Barnes and Noble bestseller, and this book you can grab anywhere, right?
Yeah,
Anywhere you
this
get a
one
book.
hit the top 3 in Amazon's anxiety category, which was really cool.
That's so cool. Are you gonna write another book? Same
Oh
genre, or
God, I don't know. Maybe, God forbid, if there's another pandemic. I mean,
no?
last summer I had time to write Mindfire, because I just graduated college and I didn't have a job yet. So that gave me the time. But right now, I'm so busy with my 9 to 5 that I just do not have the time to
What do
write
you
a
write
book.
about at the magazine?
Celebrity news, like entertainment news.
That's my thing. Tell
So
me
fun.
where to find your articles on
It's
your
so fun.
website.
I write for OK. I write
I
for
love
OK.
that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
great.
it's very fun. But yeah, in terms of like writing my own stuff, I feel like I'm always going to be really passionate about mental health, and in the long run, I'd love to incorporate that into my work, into my journalism, whether that's becoming a wellness editor or like a health and fitness editor or something like that. I'm also going to keep up with social media and creating content for my following. I feel like it's very rare to have a following like that, and I don't take my platform for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I had an idea for another book. I just don't have the time to write it. So maybe one
Yeah.
day.
Just keep it there and write down your thoughts and you'll get to
Yes.
it. I
Yeah.
think obviously celebrity news to me is directly correlated to human behavior. I think it's the same. You can kind of use that their stories and like what they go through and talk about the human side of it.
Sometimes. Sometimes. The stuff I'm writing about, like, celebrity, like bikinis and stuff, like, that's not necessarily like, this one's like mental health, blah, blah, blah. But I've gotten the opportunity to write some really cool stories about, I think, like, Madison Beer confessed she was like suicidal when she was 19, and I was able to break that story, and stuff like that I think is the most fulfilling for me.
Mhm.
Obviously it's fun to write about like fashion and celebrity outfits, but my heart is in the mental health space, so whenever I get the opportunity to write about topics like that, I'm very, very grateful.
It is interesting. I don't know if you saw the story of Denise Richards and her divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, her show, Denise and Her Wild Things, was so
Yeah.
cute. I loved it. You would think they're like the best, most get along couple ever. And
Crazy.
behind the scenes, he's beating her up. What? I'm like, what?
I know. I didn't break that story, but I saw it, and one of my coworkers is covering it. It's crazy.
It's like you never know what's going on behind closed doors because we would have thought they were such a great couple and they got along
Yeah.
fabulously.
You never know. You
You never
literally
know.
never know what someone's going through.
I know. And what's your take on when somebody's going through something mentally? It's always like how serious. I feel like maybe no one can answer this, but like when do you get really concerned about their mental state and when, you know what I mean? As opposed to just they're going through it and you have to let them go through it. Like, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, is there a sign that it's like, oh, wait, we need intervention? Like, this is bad.
I think if someone asks for help, you get them help. You don't question or like ask them twice.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Hmm.
Because God forbid, like someone was actually suicidal and they asked for help, and you're like, nah, it's not that serious. And then
Hmm.
like something actually happened, like
Yeah.
you would be kicking yourself for the rest of your life. So I
I
would say,
just feel,
if
yeah,
someone
I
asks
just
for
feel
help, you can help.
right. But if they don't ask for help and like, when are you being,
If you don't ask for help,
yeah.
it's tough because I think about myself, and at the time, nobody could have forced me into therapy. I didn't want help. And you can try as much as you want, but it's not really going to be effective if you force someone into getting help. When you need to intervene, it depends like what is your relationship to the person. If it's a parent and your child is spending all day at home like staring at the ceiling, yeah, like intervene, try to figure it out.
Yeah.
But if you're like a distant friend and you notice like your friend stops talking to you, like something like that, then maybe like kind of weigh your options and be like, okay, is this person like going through like some mental health issue, or are they just like mad at me because I didn't eat lunch with them? Like you kind of just got to like weigh out the seriousness of it.
Hmm.
But I'd say the main thing is if someone does come to you and ask for help, don't try to downplay it. Like rather be safe than sorry in that case.
Yeah. You do what you can, right? And
Yeah.
I think the right answer is just always be serious about the people around you and you care about
Yeah.
and whatever they're going through. But
Yeah. Even
it's a
if you
fine
don't know
line.
how to help, you can find someone who does. Like don't not get help just because you don't know how. Like if someone comes to you to ask for help and you don't know, there's so many mental health resources out there that you can find and send it to a friend. Like, I have an example. It's kind of like a bad example, but I was going through my own mental health stuff at the time, like my self-harm intrusive thoughts, and a friend came to me and said she was suicidal, and I was like, well, I don't really know how to handle this because you talking to me about that is really triggering right now, and I don't know what to do. So I was like crying to my mom, and I'm like, I don't want this girl to like go and kill herself, but also like I have to like protect myself, and
Yeah.
talking to her is like really hurting me right now. So I had to like, I think I wrote her like this long message like, thank you so much for like opening up to me. Like, I really appreciate it. I'm so sorry you're going through that. Like, if I'm being completely honest, like, I can only help so much in this because I have to protect my own peace in this situation. This is something that I've kind of dealing with too. But, you know, here's like a website you could reach out to if things like ever get really bad, or here's this Instagram account I follow that can help. So you help in the way you can,
Hmm.
but like you always come first at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, that was a really tricky situation though.
Yeah. And I always wish when, if I'm ever like, if I'm the receiver of this information, I always want to
Mm.
try to tell them this too shall pass. Like, I feel like if you
Yeah,
just give it enough
get
time, if you're
better.
just put in a, not a straight jacket, but just like put in a room with no, like if you could just wait it out, you'll get to
Yeah,
the other side because
yeah,
it will get better because it always does. So,
yeah.
and they don't realize that at the moment, but I feel like that's always the one thought that comes in my head. I'm like, if you can just survive till the other side, like
Hmm.
you'll feel
Yeah.
better.
I mean, the mental health advocate in me always wants to like throw the resources at
I know.
someone, but you're 100% right. I mean, even like now when I get my own anxiety, my boyfriend doesn't want to like get too entangled in it. All he will say to me is, "It's okay, it'll get better. Like things will get better." And something as simple as that sometimes is all you need to hear.
Hmm. It is. All right. Well, this has been wonderful talking to you. I hope everyone goes out and gets your book,
Thank
Mindfire.
you.
And I look forward to seeing what you do next.
Thank you.
And you can come back on and talk about it.
I'd love to.
Yay. Okay. Well, we'll see you next time. I hope you enjoyed this talk with Carrie Berk. Bye.